find battles for survival across the universe, besieged on all fronts by the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. One faction of Space Marines stands amidst the chaos, the mightiest of the Emperor's warriors, and a beacon of light in the darkness. This legion, the 9th Legion of Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels.
Hello, my beautiful subscribers. How is everybody tonight? Good evening, good evening. Let me know. You can hear me okay, right? I think you can. A little bit dark. Let me put on a light, I guess. Make any difference? Tiny bit? It's a little bit dark. It's fine. I guess the dark is just because there's tons of sunlight coming in this window. Good evening. Mike, good evening. Maximus, good evening. Deadpool, what's happening? Bodes well. Hopefully tonight's show bodes well. Hello, Aaron in Canada. We got people all over that support the channel. So thanks for tuning in. It's Sunday night, so that means typically we'll have a look at some army lists. My glasses are filthy. So once I clean my glasses, hello to Canada, yeah? Do you know what? It's funny, actually. My favourite... I was going to say not my favourite. My wife's favourite band is from Canada. And we're going to go see them on like the 19th, something like that, the 19th of next month. We're going to go see a Canadian rock band, so that should be pretty cool. 6 lists tonight. There's more in the queue. Someone actually submitted a list yesterday saying like, hey, can you get my list on the show this week? It doesn't really work like that. There's more than 6 people in the queue ahead of you. And when there is a lot of people in the queue, I tend to prioritize all the beautiful green names we have in chat, because you guys with the green names support me, so you guys get priority on army lists. So we're going to get in and look at 6 lists tonight. It is not Loverboy. I didn't even know that's the name of a Canadian band. I don't know if you're trolling me. Anyway, Bode Hizzle is our first list for tonight. Good evening, Alexander. Right, so Huckus Forus, or Huck Forus, I guess is the first name. First list, we'll come back to read what he said afterwards. We've got Captain, we've got Mephiston. Do you know what? I've been playing Mephiston a little bit. And Mephiston has the exact same problem he's had for like the last 6 years. His sword being D3 damage stinks. If his sword was flat 2, I think Mephiston would genuinely be a good character. At D3 damage, his sword stinks. He's kind of survivable and he's kind of decent for 100 points, but you can't rely on him because the D3 damage on his sword stinks. So he's fine. He's in my list at the moment, but I don't think he's good. I think he's fine. We've got Lamartez. We've got Sanguinary Priest. We've got 10 Assault Intercessors on foot, 5 more on foot, and 5 Heavy Intercessors. That feels like a lot of troop choices. We don't see that much battle line these days. We've got an Impulsor. We've got 10 Jump Assault Intercessors. We've got 10 Death Company jumping. We've got 6 Eradicators. We've got a Redeemer. We've got Librarian Dreadnought. We've got Double Scout Squad. Okay. Interesting list, I guess. Like 20 jump troops, 2 squads of scouts, the 6 Eradicators, the Redeemer. I assume that you kind of been putting the Eradicators inside the Redeemer. The Impulsor, maybe Mephiston could be in that. Lamartez. Foot Slogging Captain and the Foot Slogging Sanguinary Priest. All right, so like the 10 Assault Intercessors plus the Sanguinary Priest plus the Captain are probably in the Redeemer. D3 is better than flat 2 when you come up against stuff that does half damage or -1 damage. Sure, I don't think we see that all that much anymore, do we, Mike? Who do you see that up against? Because I played Mephiston the last few weeks, and I always seem to roll a 1 or a 2 for D3 damage, and then that's why I kind of think he stinks, because people fail like 2 or 3 saves against him, and then you only end up doing 2 or 3 damage against them. Okay, so Bodizzle or Bohizzle, I don't know how you say his name, has been skulking about. I need some advice. So the Mephiston and the Sanguinary Priest with 10 Assault Intercessors are in the Land Raider. Real quick, if you attach Mephiston, you cannot attach the Sanguinary Priest. I'm like 99% sure. The Sanguinary Priest is going to tell you that... where is my Wapedia? Wrong tab. The Sanguinary Priest can only be attached when it's a captain or lieutenant. So Mephiston doesn't have the captain. Do you know what? I think there's a bug on this Wapedia website that says Mephiston has the captain keyword, but if you go read the codex or the index, he does not have the captain keyword. So maybe you got confused looking at him here. No, they fixed it. He doesn't have the captain keyword, right? But yes, Sanguinary Priest, a captain, chapter master, lieutenant, right? So I guess you got to make a change here where the captain's with the Sanguinary Priest and Mephiston's with the 5. Lamarck's is obviously with the 10. Librarian Dreadnought is to teleport the heavy intercessors into the no man's land objective, or the eradicators to melt a range of a big scary monster vehicle. Well, I mean, here's the thing: you can't teleport into melt a range, right? Because melt a range is less than 9 inches, and the teleport will place you more than 9 inches away. So you'll be 2 millimeters away from melt a range, but you can't teleport into melt a range. If you could, then I guess Librarian Dreadnought would be awesome. He's still decent, though. Librarian Dreadnought is still decent. There is value in teleporting heavy intercessors onto a whole field objective. There is value in teleporting eradicators around. There's maybe a bit more value in it in the Gladius attachment, but it's not too bad. You got scouts for the home objective, screening, general scout stuff. I did a video a few weeks ago on how to use scoring units and scouts, right? So go watch that video. That might help you. But I do feel like if you're trying to be super competitive, you do want a squad of infiltrators for the home field objective. My main question is there any major weaknesses? Is it not enough anti-armor with the eradicators, missile launchers? Missile launchers on the scouts don't do any damage, bottom line. I must have run a missile launcher on a scout in 10 games and it never did any damage to a vehicle ever. They only hit on 4s. They probably only get a wound on 5s. You're going to be lucky if they ever do any damage to a vehicle. Am I going too heavy on characters? No, I think 4 characters is probably fine. 400 points on characters. We see that pretty often. The captain and the Sanguinary Priest in the same squad is also probably fine. It gives them the free red rampage. It gives them a potential free armor of contempt. It gives them more EP. I was trying to fit another 5 jump assault intercessors, but couldn't find a way to do it. Removing the Sanguinary Priest, I left a big points hole, or I could remove a scout squad in Visage of Death, but then I only have 1 scout squad, and it feels like it's not enough. Yeah, I mean, 1 scout squad possibly does feel like it's not enough. The only 5 assault intercessors with jump packs can be a scoring unit, right? Because they can move 12 inches and they can do scoring stuff. But I do feel like if you're going to be playing pretty competitively, you do want to consider having that infiltrator squad for the backfield objective. Oh, Bodeswell is in the channel. Hello, Bodeswell. I thought a Sanguinary Priest can be attached with an epic hero. Maybe change Sanguinary Priest to a jump and attach them into that. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make too much difference. But no, for some reason, Mephiston... We're hoping when our codex comes out, Mephiston and some of our other characters get a few more options on what they can attach to, because the index attachments are pretty bad. A Blood Angels Gladius list finished 5 at 1 in a German major and ran 2 Predator Destructors. I told you guys in chat Predator Destructors are good. I was actually thinking of running 2 plus a Lancer as my fire support in this week's list. I like Vindicator tanks, but I do hate the range on the Vindicator. I think the Vindicator tanks work really well in Gladius, right? Like, I just don't know if I like them in Suns. Being able to advance and shoot the Vindicators is so important when they only have that 24-inch move. Mike says with scouts, I'm always tempted to deploy them into the corners. Yeah, for investigate signals. It's a good plan, Mike. The other thing, like I said, I made a video on scoring units a few weeks back. Sometimes when you do, like, I've made a few videos on secondaries now over the years, and for some reason, videos on secondaries do not perform well. Right? They just don't perform well in the YouTube algorithm. It's fine. I don't really care, but I guess it means that people don't necessarily see this video here, right? Like if you look at my other videos and you know, this video from this weekend already has more views in it and it's still getting 29 views per hour. This video is getting probably not very many views per hour now. But this was a video called Guide to Scoring Units and Strategies. And I've made videos before on secondaries. They never really perform well. It's not going to stop me making them, right? So check this video out. If you're not really familiar with how to use scouts to get the most out of them. Overall, though, I think heavy intercessors are good. I guess a captain plus a sanguinary priest plus 12 assault intercessors inside a redeemer is pretty decent as well. I guess teleport and eradicators is not too bad either. The death company, the jump intercessors, these are core units. Lamartes is good. I mean, most of the units and stuff you have is absolutely fine, right? Like it's all competitive to a degree. Even the impulsor is probably pretty decent. But I guess the winning combination of knowing which units you should have and which units you shouldn't have is the hard part, right? You do have 2 units that are dedicated to scoring units. You don't have too many characters. I think 4 is totally fine. We see some people take like 6. I like heavy intercessors, I really do. I think teleporting... I use them in a tournament, teleporting them around with Library and Dreadnought. I think they can be difficult to shift. Switching out the Eradicators for a Vindicator tank, I mean, it's 6.5 a dozen, if you know that saying. Like, you could go either way. The advantage of the Eradicators, I guess, is reroll all hits, wounds, and damage. And teleporting the Eradicators around, let them shoot wherever the hell they want to shoot, is pretty decent. Vindicator tanks are possibly a tiny little bit more swingy. But both are good, right? Like, you could go either way. I don't mind either or. There's no units that you've got in this list that I would be flat out saying these units need to go. What I might do is I might lose the missile launcher and a couple of shotguns from the scouts and have like 3 guys with knives. I think combat knives in the scouts is probably the best way to run the scouts, because having run the scouts for like 10 games, maybe more, 20 games, they never kill anything with their shooting. They just don't. It's crap. But their melee is actually quite good now with combat knives because they get strength 6. And they do, I guess, get like 4 attacks per scout, I think. If they've got, because the knife gives them 1 extra attack. Yeah. So they get 4 attacks. So I would just do, you want 1 shotgun on the squad, yes, so you can advance and do an action, but for the most part, you just want knives in the scout squads. Because they don't really kill anything with their guns ever. Everything else is decent, though. The only one thing to say is that, like, having played Mephiston a few times now, Mephiston plus 5 assault intercessors, it's really hard to juggle what they're going to kill because Mephiston's damage output is so damn swingy. I mean, there's value in having Mephiston plus the assault intercessors in an impulsor. The impulsor can sit on an objective all game. It's a squad that can come out and, I guess, against like 1 or 2 wound enemies, it can do a lot of damage. But the second you start attacking high wound models, that's when Mephiston feels like he really falls off. Because my damage output rolls for him apparently suck. So this is a decent list, Bohizzle. Are we lacking? The Death Company are all Infernal Pistols and Power Fists. No, I don't think you're lacking anti-armor. I mean, there could be an argument here to, if you were going to switch out the Eradicators for a Vindicator tank, there could be a good argument to get rid of the Librarian Dreadnought and just replace him with a Lancer or something like that. But yeah, having played the Vindicator tanks in Sons of Sanguinius for a few weeks now, they're difficult to play. I've been having this conversation since the beginning of 10th and just cannot find a reason to bring a Vindicator over a Lancer. Well, the Vindicator gives a lot more shots than the Lancer. And if you're playing Gladius, the Vindicator can advance and shoot, which is very, very powerful. But I guess if you do not have advance and shoot in the Vindicator tanks, they can quite often be out of range in turn 1, which kind of sucks. Hello, Jim. Good evening. You could reserve the Vindicator tank, but that's also a bit, seems it's quite a big model to put into reserve. Sometimes could be hard to bring in. You found scouts with 3 shotguns, 1 sniper, and 1 chainsword, says Braden. Well, I mean, I don't know what my luck. Maybe I always seem to have these turns where I shoot my whole army and don't do any damage whatsoever. So maybe it's just I suck at shooting. I mean, probably I'm more of a close combat player anyway. But yeah, I don't rate the scouts' guns at all. All my scouts are taking knives now. I've given up. One guy's got a shotgun, so we can advance and shoot. Advance and perform actions. Everyone else is on knives. It's literally the only reason to have it is to advance and do an action, right, Marius? Like, you got to deploy teleport homers, so you want to be able to advance the scouts, move, advance, and then deploy teleport homers, right? Because if you got 1 assault weapon in the squad, then the squad is eligible to shoot, so you'd be able to do the action because you've got that 1 assault weapon. Okay, let's look at this next list. Who sent me this list? This is you, Braden. Oh, well, if you've got scouts in here with shotguns, I'm going to tell you that get rid of them. Okay, you've got Lamartes, you've got a Chaplain, you've got a Sanguinary Priest with a jump pack, and Visage of Death. We have 3 Assault Intercessors with jump packs, a 5, a 5, and a 10. I kind of like that. I think it's okay. You've got the 10-man Death Company with no jump packs. You've got the 10-man Death Company with jump packs. You've got 2 squads of Infiltrators. You've got 2 squads of Scouts. I was going to say, I'm going to see a transport here. You've got the Lancer. You've got the Redeemer. You've got the Calidus Assassin. Okay. Actually, I was going to say, I guess the 10-man Death Company with the Chaplain are inside the Redeemer. That makes sense. They're gonna have, I was kind of half expecting to see a Rhino, because Rhino spam with that is actually kind of good as well. The incidental rocket is nice in the Scouts. I apparently never hit or kill anything with that rocket, Jim. So, yeah, every single game I feel like I shoot that rocket and it never does anything. So, 20 Assault Intercessors, 20 Death Company, 10 of them jump packs, 2 Infiltrators, 2 Scouts. So you've got 3 scoring units. You've got Lancer for long-range fire support. You've got the Redeemer. Okay, so damaging units. Chaplain plus 10 foot in the Redeemer, yeah, offers a huge kill squad that will damage anything. Land Raider Redeemer is generally just a super Overwatch machine, sorry. Yeah, I've given up playing the Redeemer. I think it works well on certain terrain, but it doesn't work all that well on UTC terrain. Keep it in turn 1 so you don't in cover, so you don't lose it to direct firing. The Death Company will be a lot less good if it dies in your deployment zone. Yeah, I mean, the Death Company are useless if it dies in the deployment zone. Same as if you put Blade Guard inside it, they're useless if they die in turn 1. Land Raiders can also sometimes be quite hard to hide, man, because they're quite large. But, I mean, that's fine. So the Sanguinary Priest, 10 Jump Assault Intercessors, gives you the massive amount of strength, 6 Chainsword attacks for a good price. You'll use Red Rampage if you want. Lamartis plus the 10 jump back. They're super high kill volume, definitely still worth 400 points. -1 damage, 6 triple plus, rapid ingress. Get them into combat, kill, worst case, put them in cover, close enough to threaten Yeah, and they can fight on death as well, the 10-man death company, which is very, very good. I think they are still worth 400 points, but I think the thing to just remember is this squad dies so friggin' fast, man. Like, if you come up against an army that's shitting out 1 damage with decent AP, they still die so fast. So, I do like them. I like them more at 370 points. At 400, it feels like... I don't think Games Workshop have a great handle on Blood Angel's balance. 400 feels like we're getting to the realms of that's too expensive for what that is, considering how easy it can die. But they're arguably our best damaging unit still, so yes, it's probably worth 400 points. Your Lancer, just in case an annoying... I don't know, an annoying vehicle? Overwatch vehicle, maybe? Lancers are good, right? Lancers are amazing into enemies with no invuln save. Average into enemies that do have invuln save, but they're still good. So you've got like some objective / flat killing units in the jump assault intercessors, yep. That makes a lot of sense. You've got the infiltrators to screen the deployment zone, also makes a lot of sense. The Calidus attacks a stratagem, and also potentially she will also score points because she's a single model on a 32mm base, and then the scouts, you know, generally multi-purpose tools. Yeah, it's a decent list, I think. I was actually thinking of running this. I think I might have changed my list, but I was thinking of running 10 assault intercessors with 2 5-man squads. I think that's a pretty good combination. The 10-foot death company are kind of broken. If you don't know why they're broken, if the enemy engages on them and kills them, you can fight on death, and every model gets sustained 2, because they fight at the strength that the unit currently is. So the Death Company Marines, if you manage to get a fight on death with them, they can charge an enemy that's fight first. The enemy will have to fight them, kill a bunch of them. That might be a good way to deal with those stupid overpowered Plague Marines. Just charge them with the 10 Death Company, expecting to lose them all, and then you'll get to fight back with sustain 2, and you'll more than wipe the Plague Marines. So this squad, in my opinion, this is the squad that should have gone up in points. This is the most overpowered squad that Blood Angels have. Some of the tournament wins were running 3 of these squads, or 2 of these, and these guys fit in rhinos as well, which just kind of adds to the brokenness of them. So you just want a bunch of these guys in rhinos that you're just going to throw up the board and then potentially fight on death. Every model gets sustained 2, re-rolling all hits. It's kind of nuts, considering they're all armed with power fists and infernal pistols. Death Company Marines do not have fight on death. Yeah, you just spend the 2 CP on it, right? Honor of the Chapter, I think it's called. It's worth it though, right? Like, because literally they'll kill anything in the game with, like, 10 of those guys with sustain 2, they'll kill anything in the game. Only in death does duty end, right? So the only kicker is you have to choose it when the opponent targets you. So the opponent targets your 10-man Death Company with a nice big squad, like those first Plague Marines. You feel attacked with disgusting and resilient. I felt attacked by getting killed by overpowered Plague Marines in last week's battle report. The points drop on the Vindicator and Ironstorm reroll and Hunter Killer turn 1 is nice, especially if you have multiples. The Vindicator tank was good at 210 points. It's now like 175. I mean, I think if you're running Gladius, you could probably run 2 or 3 Vindicators. They're very strong. So, yeah, this is the squad that people were using in tournament play. So this squad should have gone up in points. I'm kind of unconvinced the other Death Company should have gone up in points, but fine. And I actually think that squad's kind of obnoxious if you run 3 of them inside rhinos. Potentially with a chaplain each, they're still very cheap for the amount of damage they would do. Chaplain on foot is like 60 points, right? Yeah, so you, for like 310 points, you're going to get like 40 power fists with sustain 2, re-rolling all hits. It's be interesting to know what actually that... You should fish for 6s for sure, I feel like. 40 divided by 6 is what? 40 divided by 6 is 6. So if you just roll it, you straight away get 13 bursts. And then you just re-roll everything. So 30... So you would lose 4 times 0.6 again. No, times 0.16 again. So if you just re-roll everything, you get 23 bursts before the hits. And I guess you'd probably end up with like 30 hits. Yeah, so from 40 attacks, you'd probably end up with like 55 hits or something. What's the odds the next Blood Angels Codex takes all the weapons away from them? Possibly pretty high. There's not many squads that have that. Maybe Death Company Marines have like heirloom weapons. I mean, the worst things have happened, right? Don't. Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen, Marius. They're going to have heirloom because everyone's going to have their models made with random stuff like power fists, and it's probably. Please God, don't tell me it's going to be chainswords braided, but yeah, it's probably going to be heirloom weapons. It'll be like strength 7 or something. It'll be a number that works quite well with their +2 strength. So it'll be like their strength 6, so when we charge their strength 8 or something, you know? Like, you can't imagine them having much more strength than the Sangre Guard, because if they do, the Sangre Guard won't get any play. Okay, I like your characters. I like your units. Personally, I'm off the Redeemer, but I know it's very strong. I kind of like a single Lancer. I think it's okay. I guess just into some matchups it doesn't do so well. But that's fine. This is a decent list. The Infiltrators will just screen out everything, so you know everything's going to be in front of you. You're riding up with your Land Raider Redeemer. I like this list. I think it could do decent. I'd save CP to fight on death with the Death Company. I'd save CP to try and keep the Redeemer alive, because having played a Redeemer a bunch of times, there are armies that... Like, if you're playing Drukhari, Redeemers are impossible to play, right? Because Drukhari just hit you with, like, shed loads of haywire, and you won't even get to roll a save on your Redeemer. Your Land Raider will just be dead. It's a lot to lose 260 point Land Raider for never getting to roll a save, so that's why I'm kind of off of it. But yes, it is good. It is good. No, I was going to say, oh, you did put in the scout. You did put the shotguns on the scouts and the sniper rifle. I much prefer the knives, man. You should try the knives, Braden. I feel like a Brutalis rather than a Lancer. Having played, I only played the Brutalis once. The Brutalis is going to take up a reserve slot. That's the one thing to keep in mind, I guess. So if you're not putting anything else in reserve, maybe a Brutalis is okay. But Brutalis is going to 100% need to be in reserve. You're going to have your Death Company possibly in reserve for Rapid Ingress. You only Rapid Ingress 1 unit a turn, I guess, so 50-50 on the Brutalis being better. It's more of a threat overload thing. So I guess if you think putting a Brutalis on the board and potentially charging turn 2 is going to be more threatening, then maybe. I mean, maybe. The Lancer is going to be able to sit on that home field and hopefully just shoot every turn, though. So you would think you would expect maybe over the course of the game, the Lancer does more. But I feel like the Lancer's big weakness is armies with good invuns. If you come up against another Space Marine player, then the Lancer's terrifying. But if you come up against like demons or I don't know, something else where their whole army's got 4-up invuns, then it's not going to be that strong. Potentially, I guess orcs, like what are you going to kill with a Lancer? There's going to be bad matchups for Lancer, but then there's going to be bad matchups for Brutalis, so it's very situational. What do I do if Vindicators are good right now but too ugly to field? Don't worry about it, McFatson. They aren't as good in the Sons of Sanguinius detachment as they are in others. I would field other tanks. I think I'm going to drop the 2 Vindicators for this week's battle report. I think the Chaos Space Marine Codex could show mixed weapons. Yeah, I don't know. The Chaos Space Marine Codex came out... Was it pre-order today or it actually came out today? I saw some things talking about it, but I haven't had a chance to look at it. Okay. We're going to move on to Johnston. Number 1. He's playing 2,000 Blood Angels as well in Sons of Sanguinius. He is a captain, Terminator armor, a captain on the jump pack, a lieutenant with the combi weapon, and 2 Sanguinary Priests with jump packs. So we're expecting Salt Intercessors with jump packs. We have 10 of those, and another 10. We've got 2 Death Company Dreadnoughts. These guys are a bit like missiles. There's certainly some advantage in these. They potentially need well, they do need, not potentially, they need chaplains to be able to get OC. So these 2 guys are on the board as pure missiles, right? He's not going to care about OC or anything. He's just going to bring them in and try and do 7-inch charges into enemy monsters or vehicles, because that's what they can do. You've got the Infiltrators, you've got 5 Sanguinary Guard, you've got Scouts, you've got Terminators, you've got double Vindicator. Okay. The captains of the Sanguinary Guard, the priests are with the Jump Intercessors. Okay, so yeah, I think Jump Intercessors are so good at the moment that if you can run 30 of them, it might not be a bad idea. I was painting more of them last night. I think at 160 points. I don't necessarily even know if you need to attach the Sanguinary Priest to here. I think they're okay at 160 with no characters attached. So that's 20 Jump Marines with the Priests, the 2 Death Company Dreadnoughts, an Infiltrator squad to hold back, a Scout squad to score, a Terminator squad to come down and be a nuisance, the Sanguinary Guard with the Captain. Personally, having played the Sanguinary Guard a couple of times, I'm actually kind of liking them with Dante. Lieutenant to put some reroll 1s on there, and then a captain to join to the Terminators. So I was running Terminators this week. Basically the same loadout with a Terminator Librarian attached to them. And I don't know if I feel like the character gives enough bonus to the Terminators to make it worthwhile. A captain in Terminator armor lets you reroll charges? I don't think he lets you do anything else, right? Alright, he lets you use the free CP. So he's got 5 Power Fist attacks, and you're going to get to use the free CP. I'm not sure about that. Like, I kind of wonder if the Terminators just don't need a character. Because I was going to try and run them this week without a character. We can get a tactics video with Jump Intercessors without the Sanguinary Priest and see what's best value. I was going to do something like that this week, or maybe like Sanguinary Guard versus Death Company at the new points costs, or something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing videos for sure, Lamartes. I guess the advantage of not having the priest is you still do the same number of mortal wounds, right? Then after the mortal wounds, it becomes very situational, based on the opponent's AP. Or sorry, based on the opponent's base armor save, right? Like if you're fighting demons, for example, where AP means nothing, then I guess the Sanguinary Priest has a lot less value offensively than it has defensively. I mean, there's always an advantage defensively. But yeah, I guess with those new points costs, there's definitely some maths videos to be made for sure. Okay, we talked a bit already in the stream about double Vindicators. Kind of hard to play in Sons of Sanguinius because in turn 1, you have to deploy them hidden, and then you have to make a 9-inch move and try and get in range. That's not so easy to do in turn 1. It's much easier to do in Gladius. But still think Vindicators are a great unit with Oath of Moment. Nothing gets as many Strength 14 hits. They're very, very good. You could do Red Rampage and Armor of Contempt for free. I know, Maximus, but I think that one of the things I've noticed playing... Because I've played the Sangre Guard, the 10-man Sangre Guard with Dante twice now, right? And one of the things that I've noticed with that is with Dante being attached, your charges are more reliable, right? Because you get the +1 to charge, and you get the +1 to hit, which makes the Infernal Pistols, and I guess all their hits more reliable. And one thing that I did notice was when I didn't have Dante attached to the Sangre Guard, it felt like I always had to have my Oath of Moment selected as their target. By adding Dante to the Sangre Guard, I feel like you don't have to have Oath of Moment on their target. I mean, you will still need Red Rampage in situations. You will still need Armor of Contempt in situations, which obviously you've got to pay for. But I guess it lets you put your Oath of Moment somewhere else. That's just my opinion. That's what it felt like having played it a few times. I feel like I like to be a bit more flexible with my Oath. Like, for example, what Crispy Delicious just said, Vindicators coming from reserve. Oath of Moment, something that I 100% know they can shoot 24 inches away. So maybe being able to not have to waste Oath of Moment on the Sangre Guard is good. Overall, I think if you're running 20 Jump Intercessors, that's pretty good. I think if you're running Infiltrators and Scouts, that's decent. I'm not, having played the Terminators just twice now, I'm not convinced the Librarian or a character is adding enough to those Terminators to make it feel like it would be worth it. And we know Death Company Dreadnoughts are great missiles, Distraction Carnifexes. They were good at like I think they were 165 points before, right? So at 145 points, I guess if you can fit 2 of them in. Yeah, I think they were 165. So yeah, be fitting 2 or 3 of them in to just be a complete nuisance is totally valid. And I guess the 7-inch charge from Deep Strike is also pretty... I don't think there's anyone else that gets the 7-inch charge from Deep Strike, right? Okay, let's move on to Chris Bailey. Here's a list he threw together while listening. And hopefully it will inspire me, maybe, or maybe it inspired him. A bit of both. We got the Captain with the Jump Pack, we've got the Judiciar, we've got the Martyrs, we've got the Sangre Priest. We have an Impulsor, 6 Blade Guard, 10 Death Company, 5 Infernus Marines, not so sure about these guys, Infiltrators, an Invader ATV, a Redemptor Dreadnought, Scouts, 10 Vanguard Veterans, all with 6 Storm Shields, 4 Infernal Pistols, interesting choice, a Vindicator Tank, and a Calidus Assassin. Okay. So the Captain with the Sangre Priest and the Van Vets, that's decent. It's a big squad. It costs a lot, but it's decent. The Martyrs with the Death Company again is also decent. Judiciar with the Blade Guard is decent. The Infernus Marines and an Impulsor. I mean, I feel that's kind of gimmicky. I guess it would be like 5d6 Strength 5 Flamer shots. Let me think. It's 3.5 per model, so you're getting 15 no AP Flamers in there. I feel like it's gimmicky. An Invader ATV to act like your old attack bikes with a multi-melta, and the do you roll you wanted for Outriders with a smaller profile. So last edition used to be able to bring in attack bikes from reserve and just try and hit things with their multi-meltas. One attack bike was like 60 points. You could bring it in, you could hit them with the multi-melta, and you could kill stuff with it, right? Because multi-melta Strength 8 last edition was really good. I guess Strength 8 or 9 on a multi-melta these days is not as good. I guess it's 70 points. Is there something to be said about bringing Invader ATVs for a single multi-melta shot? Probably not. What do you think about Chaplain with the Terminator? Well, I mean, having more Chaplains on the board is never a bad thing if you need Chaplains to give your Death Company OC, right? What about the Terminator Ancient? The bonus as they lose models is pretty good. It is Marius, but some people don't like to take characters that only benefit your squad when your squad starts dying. That's sort of like a personal choice, I guess. I think the Terminator Ancient also gives them an additional point of OC. which is actually kind of nice. Ancient and Terminator armor. And he's cheap, somewhat, is he? 70, he's probably the cheapest character in Terminator armor. He might work better with like a 10-man squad, and here's the thing, not many people run 10-man Terminator squads. This model's Power Fist can be replaced. This model's Bolter can be replaced. Okay, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I can't remember last time I ran a Terminator Ancient. But yeah, I mean, making the Terminators OC2 is not the worst thing in the world. Hello, comrade, how you doing? Jim's been wanting to try Invader ATVs. I don't know, man. At this point, would you not be better with a fire strike? If you're just trying to bring in something to assassinate, like you're bringing in an attack bike at the edge of the board to like assassinate a character that's out of position or something, because that's what the multi-melt attack bikes used to do last edition, right? Would you not be better with like a fire strike servo turret or something, right? Because it's got twin-linked las talon, so against most characters, I guess you're wounding on 2s or 3s re-rolling, and it is hitting on 2s, and it is overwatching on 4s, and it is only 75 points. So 5 more points than an attack bike. Would you not be better with the servo turret? It's 2 shots at 10 hitting on 2s as opposed to 2 shots at 8 or 9 hitting on 3s. Yeah. I feel like if you had the 5 extra points, as much as no one runs a servo turret, it is also D6. You wouldn't be within melter range as well, so the +1 damage would actually be relevant. But no one runs servo turrets, right? I bought one. I'm an idiot. I don't know why I bought one. I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea for Blood Angels, but I bought one. This list feels a little bit more like all over, like not all over the place, but like Impulsor plus Infernus Marines does not sound all that good to me. It sounds quirky. A single Redemptor Dreadnought. A lot of people say don't take a single Redemptor. You need to run 2 of them if you're going to run the Dreadnoughts. Marius says, I guess if you're running 5 Terminators, you are going to lose some, and then it'll activate for at least a couple of turns. I mean, you're right, Marius. Just I think if I was going to pay for a character for my Terminators, how much is the Librarian in Terminator armor? You know what, he's the same cost. I think I would take the Librarian over the Ancient, right? Because Librarian gives you 4 up, feel no pain against Psychic. It also gives you sustained 1 all the time, right? So both your shooting and melee get sustained 1. I think I would prefer that to getting like +1 to hit when you're on less than full strength and +1 to wound when you're on less than half strength. When you actually get the +1 to wound in, if you're running 5 guys, you're only going to have 2 guys left. I'd rather have a sustained 1 for the whole squad, I guess. You got the Scouts, you got the Calidus Assassin, you got 1 Vindicator tank, you got 1 Redemptor Dreadnought, and then you've got the Impulsor. I think the characters are probably okay. I think the Vanguard Veteran idea is good, the Death Company idea is good, the Blade Guard idea is good. I'm struggling to see what the Infernus squad could actually do, and I think Redemptor Dreadnoughts might be overcosted for what you're paying for them, right? Like, they're 50 points more expensive than a Brutalis Dreadnought. The Brutalis Dreadnought does not feel that survivable. If you're playing Drukhari or something, where their D cannons are D6 plus 2 dev wounds, I don't know why their indirect fire is D6 plus 2 dev wounds, but it is. I don't know how well a Redemptor Dreadnought can survive against that with -1 damage. I don't think -1 damage justifies like the 50 point increase. that you would pay on these guys. I have 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. I don't run any of them. They must be high costed because, like, Black Templars or something are getting a lot of value out of Redemptor Dreadnoughts. I don't see it for Blood Angels, which is sad because last edition I was playing like 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts for Blood Angels. I thought they were very good. But I'm struggling to see why they would be so expensive now. To get, like, if a D cannon hits a Redemptor Dreadnought, it's only saving them 5s. Yeah. And that's including cover. Yeah, I don't know why. Does anyone know why Redemptor Dreadnoughts are so expensive? I mean, that's what the cost of a Vindicator tank was 2 patches ago, and now the Vindicator's down at 175. I think if Redemptor Dreadnoughts were 175, I'd probably at least be trying them in my list. At 210, I feel like I'm not even remotely interested. It doesn't have an anti-vehicle gun. It has a super random number of shots from the plasmid gun, which is also a big problem of the Redemptor Dreadnought. And its fist lost a bunch of AP and damage, so I'm not sure about the Redemptor Dreadnought. Ironstorm Spearhead release, really they're overcosted now. Oh, was there an Ironstorm stratagem that made them really good or something? The plasma is a lot worse than it was, yeah. If the plasma on that Redemptor was a static number of shots, I think it might be interesting. But because it's random, I think in a tournament you can literally you never want to be paying CP to reroll the number of shots on a weapon in a tournament. So because of that, I just think you can't run it. The Vindicators probably only get run because they have a base of 4, right? Like if the Vindicator was just D6 shots, I think that you probably wouldn't run that either. Or D6 plus 1 even. The rest of the list looks pretty decent. I think I'd lose the Impulsor. I think I'd probably think about losing the Redemptor. More jump units, or another Vindicator tank, or a Gladiator Lancer, or Death Company Dreadnoughts maybe. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure the logic in bringing a single Invader ATV. I think if you've got... Has he got 10 points left? Not quite. I was going to say, but I think like, if you only bring 1 bike, I think I'd rather pay the extra 10 points and bring 3 Outriders. Because Outriders at least do a little bit of killing now in the Sun's detachment with the Strength 6 chainswords, right? They really should have different points costs for the different detachments, Mike. You are right. That is one of the biggest problems that they have with 10th edition. And that units that are dog shit for one detachment get their points increased because of an enhancement in another detachment. Like aggressors are a great example. Like Blood Angels players do not play aggressors because they got points put up twice for an enhancement that doesn't even exist in our codex. Or index, I guess, because we don't have our codex yet. Impulsor and Infernus Marines are just way worse than a Ball Predator. Yeah, they're more expensive too, actually. Like, they are like 70 points more expensive as well. You're right, disgustingly resilient. Good point. Swap out the Impulsor for a Ball Predator and take those 70 points and probably drop that Redemptor, then you're at like 280, was it? Drop the bike, you're at 350. What could you do with 350 points? Well, you could literally have like another 10-man squad of Death Company plus a squad of Outriders almost at that point. Or 10 more jump. You could actually have like 20 more jump intercessors. We talked about how good they are. Also, yeah, you're right. You can't even overwatch the Infernus when they're inside the Impulsor because it's a firing deck. Thank you, Mike. That doesn't come up very often, but you are 100% right. Yes. So units that are inside a transport that's firing deck cannot be... You cannot use the firing deck in Overwatch. Firing deck specifically says you can only use it in your shooting phase, not like an Overwatch or out of phase rules. It's very confusing. A lot of people get that wrong. We got 42 people watching right now, and we got 18 likes on the stream. So if you guys get 2 seconds before the now in the last 2 lists, I'd really appreciate it if you could click the like button. Okay, we're also going to look at a noob's approach to Sons of Sanguinius. So he's got Dante plus 10 and Lamartus plus 5. I feel like if you're only running 5 Death Company, I'd probably just run a regular Chaplain. I feel like Lamartus is so expensive now that you need to be running 10 to get the most out of him. You've got 2 times the 3 Outriders. You've got the Lieutenant Combi Weapon and the Khalid's Assassin and the Eviscer Assassin. Not sure about needing 2 Assassins. Can you even legally take 2 Assassins? I thought they changed that, so you could only take 1. I don't know if I feel like the Eversor Assassin is... He's a bit of an anti-infantry killer, but usually Blood Angels are pretty good at killing infantry, right? Because he's got, like... Yeah, you can't take 2 Assassins. Thanks, Mike. He's got a pistol that is anti-infantry 3-up. And he's got his sword and gauntlet that have anti-infantry 3-up. And you can also do like a shoot in advance, or get precision, or get sustained. You can get a free heroic. But he is an infantry killer, and Blood Angels usually do okay killing infantry. So get rid of the Eversor Assassin. You've got an Executioner. And having played the Executioner a few times, I do not think it is a viable tank. It's like 230 points, so it's like 10 less than a Land Raider. I'm going to double check that because it's been a hot minute since I played it. But yeah, I played the Executioner a few times in Sons of Sanguinius. I don't like it because I'm sure it's like 230 points. Its main cannon is heavy on a 3-up, but this is problematic. It's got great range, don't get me wrong, but I actually think this is actually worse than the 4 las cannons on the regular Land Raider, because this tank has a transport capacity, but it kind of wants you to not move, right? And like realistically, no one is going to go in line of sight of this. So you're going to have to move it every turn, right? Because if people see you have a strength 16 weapon with -4 d6 plus 4, they're not going to put their models visible to that. Or they're not going to put, like maybe they put a 10-man squad of Plague Marines or something that cannon will kill 2 of. They're not going to put their armor in line of sight of it. So you're going to have to move the Executioner, which then the end result is probably you got 2 shots. So you're going to hit on 3s. You're probably going to wound on 2s. But realistically, when you actually do that math, let's do the math. 2 shots, hitting on 3s. Let's just say wounding on 2s. Realistically, they're only going to need to make 1 save. So then you're hitting an invulnerable save, which they pass 50% of the time and it does no damage. Or they fail the invulnerable, and then you roll like an average roll, so you do like 7 damage. So like, I feel like the Gladiator Lancer does the exact same thing as this tank, but it's like 70 points cheaper. Oh, did they actually make it 10 points cheaper? Maybe it was 230 when I was playing it, and now it's 220. But yeah, I feel like the Gladiator Lancer does the exact same thing for like 80 points less. Yes, it doesn't have a transport capacity, but arguably it doesn't even need it. Yes, it has a bit less wounds, but having played this a few times, I never felt one time that... very, very quickly, I think I ran it 2 or 3 times and thought the regular Land Raider is better than that every single day of the week. The Vindicator tank is good. The Stormspeeder Thunderstrike is good, but it doesn't really synergize with much in this list, because the Thunderstrike's going to give ranged firepower +1 to wound, so you need a lot of ranged firepower to make that viable. The Vindicator and the Executioner don't need a ton of +1 to wound, and the Brutalis, I guess, are more of a melee thing. So, plus, as good as this Thunderstrike is, no one's running it, right? Consider the Executioner has a ton of DACA and it's really fun to roll dice. My opinion, my experience of all the DACA is most of it's crap, man. I've used that tank multiple times. I remember shooting all the DACA, and it's really hard to remember all the DACA, right? Because there's like 7 different weapons on it. There's like an onslaught cannon, there's a defensive array, there's a heavy bolter, there's a twin stubber, and then you can add another twin stubber and a rocket pod. So on paper, you think to yourself, like, I actually have a lot of like anti-DACA or anti-infantry DACA, without any rerolls, and the fact that like a bunch of it is strength 4 no AP or strength 5 1 AP. I mean, the rocket pod is the only thing that's more than that, and you can only sometimes get one shot from it. I really don't think it's worth 220 points. I'd rather take a regular Land Raider every day of the week. I don't think I'll ever run a Repulsor Executioner again. I'd rather run the regular Executioner, honestly. Sorry, the regular Repulsor, because at least you can put like 12 guys inside it. The Thunderstrike is a good unit, but no one's running them. I think the Thunderstrike is very expensive. Again, maybe this is an Iron Storm problem. I think when they released, they were like 15 points cheaper. I think they were probably pretty good at 15 points cheaper, 15 points more. It's really not survivable. It only gets like 2 reasonably decent shots. I don't like it, even though I have one. And then Double Brutalis. I'm not entirely sure I agree with. Maybe this is a noob's approach to the list, but yeah, this doesn't feel quite like a cohesive Blood Angels list. It feels like trying to do a few clever things with some units, but Executioners are not that great. Vindicators are hard to play in Sons of Sanguinius. Thunderstrikes don't synergize with too much, and the Brutalises are somewhat decent. I've only played them once. I need to play it a couple more times. I was thinking about this list the other day. Funny to see you talk yourself in and out of most of it. Looking forward to the test. The magic trick will be finding a good way to keep Dante chaining from one melee target to another to avoid shooting. It should be durable enough to have fun in melee. I'm not sure I feel like 5 Death Company are ever durable in melee, even with Lamartes. And Sangreguard are nice with the Warlord. You haven't mentioned the Warlord, but I assume Dante's the Warlord, so you get the -1 to hit and the -1 to wound. But Sangreguard are only T4, so if you're fighting like any sort of semi-good enemy, most of the time they're going to be wounding them in 2s. So the Warlord only really makes them, like -1 to wound, just takes it from like a 2 to 3. It's not like they're like Death Shroud Terminators where like -1 to wound is actually pretty tough. -1 to wound on the Sangreguard and -1 to hit. I don't know if I feel like that makes them durable. Makes them decent. I think durable is a stretch too far. But I think you're gonna have to rapid ingress Dante and all that. But I really think I would rethink a Thunderstrike, a Vindicator, and Executioner. And I guess you got to rethink the Eviscera Assassin as well, because you got 2 assassins. So, yeah, for me right now, I'm not in love with any of this. Yeah. I think, having played a bunch of games with Vindicator tanks, the times that I've done the best with Vindicator tanks in Sons of Sanguinius, because I was thinking about this other day, because I had a bunch of games in Sons of Sanguinius where I won, where I had double Vindicator in my list, right? And I was trying to think, like, why was double Vindicator tank working in my Sons of Sanguinius list before, and maybe it's not working as well right now? Like, what's the change? Why is it not working? What have I changed? Just trying to look at it, like, objectively. And I think the reason that double Vindicator was working so well for me before was because I had a Land Raider Redeemer in that list. And what was I basically doing in every single game was I was driving the Redeemer right down the fucking middle of the battlefield towards the middle, and then just crossing my fingers behind my back when my opponent decided to shoot his whole damn army at the Redeemer. And if I had stratagems for like Armor of Contempt or Smokescreen, I was using it on the Redeemer, right? So basically what I was doing in my list, in my Sons of Sanguinius list that worked really well with double Vindicator tank, it was because my opponent was having to kill a Land Raider Redeemer before they went after the Vindicator tanks. And I suppose there is some merit in that, saying like, in a way, my Gladius list that did really well with double Vindicator tank as well was running a Repulsor. What was inside my Repulsor in that game? Oh yeah, it was I took that to the tournament. Inside the Repulsor, I had 2 3-man squads of Eradicators, and I was basically running my Repulsor to the center of the board every game as well. So my opponent knew that like there's a Repulsor with disembarking Eradicators that are going to be disembarking, then moving, and then potentially advancing, and then shooting. So they're going to be in Melta range pretty quickly. So again, the Vindicators are being ignored because there's a giant threat rolling right down the middle of the board. So there's something to be said about, like, as much as I was like, oh, I don't like the Redeemer, it dies a lot of the time in turn 1, or I don't like the Repulsor all that much, it dies a lot of the games in turn 1, it was drawing a lot of fire away from other important units. Like, so my Vindicator tanks were in position and be able to shoot in that sort of before they're getting opened up on, if that makes sense. The Repulsor Executioner is incredible in Ironstorm because it gets lethals and sustained on 5s with all those guns and other detachments. It's kind of meh. It's kind of like the detachments need balancing separately. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Disgusting. Yeah, so another tank that's crap for the Blood Angel Sons of Sanguinius detachment, but is good in Ironstorm. Ironstorm has been a real problem for balance, hasn't it? It's like everything that's been put up in cost for Marines feels like it's because some bullshit Ironstorm strat, like the Whirlwinds, for example. Like, Whirlwinds were garbage for Blood Angels, and they got made even more garbage because of Ironstorm, you know? Andonius is going to an RT&T next Saturday to prep for GT in June. I'll post my final list this week. Hopefully I can do all right. Yeah, dude, good luck. Where's your GT in June? It's not our GT, is it? I was wondering if you could give me some advice on a person on their first edition of 40k. I mostly play AM? What the hell is AM? I mostly play AM, but I would like to play Sons of Sanguinius Lamentor army and don't know where to start. AM. I don't know where it is. Oh, Adeptus Mechanicus. Yeah, I mean, if you're... I was going to say, if you're looking where to start, Sons of Sanguinius or Lamentors or anything like that, dude, go onto the Blood Angels Commander channel, this URL here, like YouTube/@BC videos. I did a video like maybe like a month ago, maybe a little bit more than a month ago. It was like making this video here is 2 different army lists. Only Primaris only. Braska, thanks so much for subscribing. Only using Primaris models, a 1,000 point list and a 2,000 point list. So here's the thing, like, if you're buying Firstborn models at the moment, it's super risky, right? Because, like, Games Workshop are legendsing. It's maybe not as risky as it was, because I think they might be done legendsing stuff for... I don't even... When a model goes to Legends, basically you can't use it competitively anymore. Space Marines already had a huge Legends wave of stuff happen in 10th edition. Blood Angels might still have a wave, so there might be some risk there. So that was a video about making a list only using new models that are very unlikely to go Legends. So Comrade, that's the video you want to watch. Primaris only army list Blood Angels, 1k, 2k. Everything you buy on that video should be sticking around for at least like 6 to 10 years, I feel like. That's kind of the point of the video, is the kind of the reason I made it was because, like, people ask all the time, like, hey, should I buy Firstborn Death Company? And I don't know the answer. Like, I don't know if Firstborn Death Company are still going to be here in 5 years, but, like, for me, I haven't bought... So I here's the thing for me. I spent like $500 on Firstborn units right before 10th edition, and all of them, everything that I bought right before 10th edition, went into Legends. So for me, it feels like, I guess I'm not doing that again, right? I'm not spending $500 on models again for all of them to not be usable. I'm just not going to do it, I guess. It really pissed me off when it happened. So now I'll buy the new stuff, but I'm really reluctant to buy it. As good as some of the old models are right now in terms of rules, I'm super reluctant to buy them. Yeah, Ironstorm have been releasing the points for all the vehicles. Rip my Contemptors. Yeah. Rip my super heavy tanks as well. I bought one of those. So because I lost so many models to Legends, I bought one of those Wicked Brick cases. I don't know if you guys seen this. It was on the Warhammer. It was on the Warhammer community's website. Where is it? I did buy this thing as well, the plaque, but it was like the display cases. So I bought like the plaque, and I ordered the biggest display case they have. I think that one might be for Fantasy, and this one's for 40k. So this one was called Endless War. Yeah, I think that one was the fantasy one. It does actually have some cool wings in the background there, but yeah. So I bought the Endless War display case, which looks something like this, I guess. If you go for the biggest one, I measured it, and it said that it would fit my super heavy tank inside it. So like rather than like all my legend stuff is like sitting in shoe boxes. So I'm gonna put on one of these shelves behind me the big display case with all my legend stuff in it, because I'm still proud of the models. Like I still feel happy that I did them, but I feel really pissed off that I can't use them anymore. So yeah, I'm gonna make like a diorama for my legends, and they're gonna sit behind me, and you guys will see them in the stream, I guess. Okay, final list for today is by Astartes Party. He has a new list since the points changes. Okay, cool. So we've got Chaplain, we've got the Judiciar, we've got Lamartes, and we've got the Sanguinary Priest with the jump pack. We've got 5 Assault Intercessors and the Impulsor. We've got 10 with jump packs. We've got a Ballistus Dreadnought. We've got Blade Guard. We've got Death Company with jump packs. We've got more Death Company with jump packs. We've got Annihilator. We've got a Redemptor Dreadnought. We've got the Repulsor. We've got the Scouts. And yes, the Scouts have shotguns and combat blades. Good. Because shotguns or combat blades are probably what you want on the Scouts. So, I guess the Foot Chaplain. Oh, I think he's made a mistake here, actually. Who can the Foot Chaplain go with? Anyone? Okay, so maybe I was going to say the Judiciar has got to be the Blade Guard. Lamartus has got to be with 10 of the Death Company. The Sanguinary Priest with jump packs has got to be with the 10 Assault with jump packs. So then the Foot Chaplain is potentially just with the 5 Assault Intercessors in the Impulsor. And I guess they're going to try and be on the board somewhere to help this other Death Company out. I mean, that could be totally valid. Greetings, Highland Phoenix. How are you? We've got the Scouts. We've got the Repulsor. The Redemptor Dreadnought is a weird one. Like I said, I think it's too expensive. Personally, I feel Vanguard is the strongest vehicle detachment. I mean, I haven't actually played Vanguard, Alex, but I think you're right. It's very cool that it's -1 to hit. Basically, it's cover for the entire game, right? If you're without 12 inches. Excuse me. I guess you would put las cannons on the Predator Annihilator. So you've got the Ballistus, you've got Annihilator, you've got a Repulsor, you've got a Redemptor Dreadnought. Yeah, I mean, I struggle to figure out why Redemptor Dreadnoughts are 210 points. 6 las cannons in the list, though, is not so bad. Or sorry, it would be 5 las cannons and a las talon. The las talon is just a strength 10 las cannon, so kind of like 7 las cannons there, plus the Redemptor Dreadnought, plus the 15 jump marines and the Blade Guard and the 10 assault intercessor jump packs and the transport, and then the chaplain, the Judiciar. I think that probably the Blade Guard plus the Judiciar can get inside the Repulsor. The other assault intercessors plus the captain can get in the Impulsor. You might be like 1 scoring units too low here. You just have that 1 squad of scouts. So I think possibly if this was my list, that's probably what I would be looking at. Is like, get rid of this Redemptor Dreadnought, add a squad of scouts or 5 more jump intercessors, and then spend the other 130 points that you have there on something else that would be usable. Another Predator could actually be an option. Or a Predator Destructor. Someone was saying that someone just went like 5-1 at a tournament with double Predator Destructor. I like the Predator Destructor. I honestly think it's good. Maybe I need to be running double Predator Destructor. I wish the Ballistas could have a melee arm at this point. Yeah, I mean, it would kind of be nice if it had a melee arm and you could get rid of the crack missiles, right? Just like kind of like the old Dreadnought where it was like double las cannon on a melee arm. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. I think you need one more scoring unit in this list. Be it a Khaled's Assassin, be it a squad of scouts, be it 5 jump intercessors. So I think that the Redemptor Dreadnought has to be the casualty there. That would also let you potentially change out that chaplain for a jump chaplain, and then maybe you could do something different with the Impulsor. But overall, it's a pretty solid list. I don't dislike too much about it. I feel like I want to play the Impulsor again. The Repulsor again. 190 points. Toughness 12, 16 wounds. So it's the cheapest we can get. Toughness 12, 16 wounds on the tabletop. It still has a capacity of 12, right? Repulsor, what is it? Transport. No. It's got the 12 capacity. It's got a twin link las cannon, a las talon, and then an 18 shot defensive bolter array. So 18 strength 4 hits, no AP. Twin las talon. 190 points. Toughness 12, 16 wounds. I mean, something's got to die in your list. They're gonna hit this with a lot. It's probably gonna be able to get a unit close to the middle of the board turn 1. Yes, you can't disembark and charge, but I mean, you know what I was saying earlier about having 2 Vindicators in your Blood Angels list is kind of hard to play because people will target the Vindicators, and you kind of need, because the Vindicators don't move so far, they kind of need a turn to get set up. Maybe this is the way to do it the cheapest way possible, right? Like you put the Judiciar and the Blade Guard, 6 Blade Guard and the Judiciar inside this. So, because you're going to want to get the Judiciar and the Blade Guard to the center objective. That's very good. And like you might be doing that and spending 260 points on a Land Raider Redeemer, and the Redeemer is getting killed anyway. So in that case, you're losing 70 points, or the Redeemer surviving with like a few wounds remaining. So the Repulsor's kind of the same boat, right? Like the Repulsor is gonna eat up a bunch of las cannon shots or something. Yes, it's going to lose 10 wounds in turn 1, but you don't really care. What you care about is getting your Blade Guard to the middle and drawing all their firepower away from other important things like maybe Gladiator Lancers or Predator Destructors or Vindicators. You can't put 6 Blade in a Judiciar. Why not? It has a capacity of 12. They're not Gravis. They're not Terminators. No, the regular Repulsor takes 12. It's the Executioner that only takes 6. So the regular Repulsor, the one that's basically the transport version of it. And I ran that transport version of it to GT. It was the GT that I was super close to coming 3rd in. Like literally 1 dice roll away from coming 3rd in. And everybody hates the Repulsor. Everybody rates it lower than the Land Raider. But my experience tells me, having played both of them extensively now, something in your army is going to be the bullet magnet, right? You can't hide your whole army. And Blood Angels are going to get huge benefits of if you manage to move this thing forward 10 inches in turn 1. Most of the time deployment zones are like 24 inches apart, right? And if you imagine the middle objective is 12 inches away. So you're going to move this thing forward 10 inches, and you're going to disembark your Blade Guard onto the middle field objective, hopefully in an obscured position. And if your opponent are going to try and make a turn 1 charge on your Blade Guard, if they declare them as a charge target, you can jump them back inside the transport if they haven't destroyed the transport. I think there's some value in that. If the only value is it's 70 points cheaper than the Land Raider, it kind of does the same thing. There might be value in that. I don't know. I was trying to make a list this week that had no transport, with the idea of running the Blade Guard to the middle. But thinking about this now, part of me thinks that like maybe I should just go back to having a repulsor. It's so off meta that nobody really knows what they're doing against it, and it's just gonna deliver my Blade Guard to the middle of the board and protect them for 1 or 2 turns. And it's going to be 70 points cheaper than my Land Raider Redeemer that did the same thing. Yes, it's going to die a tiny bit more quickly, but meh. Tough call, right? I really wish Space Marine vehicles had invuln saves. I think if this thing had a 5-up invuln like the Impulsor, then I think it would be awesome. But yeah, I think that is the final list today. That is everything. I think I'm actually going to be doing a rematch against Death Guard on Wednesday night, because Colin's wanting to... Well, I feel like I actually should have beaten Colin. I made a few mistakes, having probably more jump/toughness 4 troops in my list than I've done in ages. So I'm gonna come back this week. I'm gonna hopefully beat Colin, and then I guess I'll start doing some maths on the new points costs for a tactics video this week as well, because it sounds like people are interested in that. So that's the plan, I guess, for this week. I was going to say, I don't think I've got anything else to say. I'll probably still be painting some jump intercessors at some point when I go live. Thank you so much for watching tonight, guys. I hope you learned something from the show. If you do want to get your list on the show for next week, or for the next few weeks, I guess, because there's probably at least like 10 people with lists in the queue, put your list into one of my comments, or put your list in as a comment after the stream ends. I'll get to it in the next few weeks. Thank you so much to everybody that's been supporting the channel recently. I do appreciate it. I was going to say, we need to get a list of people who are actually coming to the GT next month as well. I know Marius is coming. I know Phil's coming. So that I can actually... Because last GT I was at, there was someone who was a channel member who didn't come and talk to me because he was like, "Oh, I saw you were busy, John, so I didn't come and talk to you." I was like, "Oh, fuck off. Just come and talk to me if I'm at the same GT as you. There's no... I'll find time, right? We can have a pint after the GT. Are you staying in Elgin for that night, Marius? Maybe we can get a pint after the on the Saturday night after the first 3 games or something. I keep deleting remake. I have no idea what my list's going to be for the GT yet, so don't feel too bad about it. Alright, I'll see you guys Wednesday night for hopefully a better performance against Death Guard. But I'm going to keep running Dante and the Sanguinary Guard for now. I mean, I know what the Death Company can do, so I can switch back to the Death Company at any point. You looking for a dog-friendly hotel right now? Okay, cool. I don't know. I don't have dogs, so I guess I can't help you on that. But good luck. Yeah, I'm going to keep trying Dante for now, because I want to get a feel for what he can do before I inevitably probably drop him and go back to Lamartis and 10. I think it's mad that Lamartis and 10 Death Company are cheaper than Dante, especially how they have the -1 damage. But I guess that's the balanced status slate that we got. Yeah. Alright, guys. Have a nice evening. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like before you head out. We'll see you on Wednesday night. Peace.
You